In this video, we'll be solving this geometry problem relating to the triangle inequality. This is kind of a word problem here where we're going to need to apply geometric inequalities relating to triangles to solve the question. So here is the problem statement. The distance from capital city to Waterworth village is 660 miles. From capital city to Centerville is 310 miles. From Centerville to Midtown is 200 miles, and from Midtown to Waterworth Village is 150 miles. How far is it from Centerville to Waterworth Village? So it's really going to help in this problem if we create a diagram here to help us understand where everything is. So let's go ahead and set our point representing capital city right here, marked with CC. Then we're going to have Waterworth Village marked up here with WV. Slightly below that, we're going to have Centerville, and mark down here with a CV. And then we're going to have Midtown, which is going to be slightly closer to Waterworth Village. Of course, this is obviously not to scale. Okay, then we're going to connect these line segments here. Rather shaky lines, but it's... Finally, we'll connect the CC and CV. Okay, so you can see here we have two triangles. We have the triangle represented by CC, WV, and CV, and the triangle represented by CV, MT, and WV. Okay, so we can now see a clear application of the triangle inequality. So we have, and we can write in the distances here to make it clearer. We've got 660 miles here. That's the length of this line segment from CCWV. We also know from capital city to Centerville is 310 miles. So we can put a 310 there. We are trying to figure out the distance here from CV to WV. So we can put a question mark there. And we have from Midtown to Waterworth Village is 150 miles. So we can put a 150 here and a 200 down here. Okay, so we have two side lengths of each of these triangles here. We've got the 660 and the 310 and the 200 and the 150. So we know that this question mark has to satisfy the length of this segment here, marked by the question mark, has to satisfy the triangle inequality for both of these two triangles. And the triangle inequality itself essentially states that the two sides of one triangle their sum must be greater than or equal to the length of the third side. So if the sides of our imaginary triangle, let's say, are A, B, and C, the triangle inequality states that we must have A plus B is greater than or equal to C. Of course, we must have B plus C is greater than or equal to A, and all of the other cases that we're also going to have. So, applying that to this problem here, we have the sum of the two sides of this large triangle here, CC, WV, and CV. That's going to be 660 plus 310, or not 660 plus 310. We need to find 310 plus our mystery length is going to be, and that's going to need to satisfy the triangle inequality. So it needs to be less than or needs to be satisfying the inequality. So equals 660. So we cannot have a length that's like 5 here because that would be way less than 660. So it needs to be equal. Needs to be equal to 660, or it needs to be greater than 660. Okay, so that's what we know about our length there. For the second triangle, the smaller one over here, we have 200 and 150. We have the question mark plus 150 is going to be greater than or equal to 200. So again, we couldn't just have a value of 50 on the question mark, because then we'd have 50, it would just, 50 plus 150 would not add up. It would not be greater than, because then we'd have a degenerate triangle. So we now know what we need to have here for this question mark with these two inequalities or equations here, if you will. So we know that the only number satisfying both of these inequalities, for the triangle inequalities for both of these triangles, it's going to have to be 350. And this is because we have 200 plus 150 here. And rewriting this inequality a little bit here, we've got the 200 plus 150, and that equals to 350. So that means we cannot have the third length of the triangle this here be less than 350. It has to be 350 or greater. Now, if we had, for example, say 400 for this length, this wouldn't work for the other triangle. We'd have an issue. Because that would not satisfy the triangle inequality. We have 400 here, and 310 plus 660, it would not satisfy the inequality. So, we know that the length for the question mark here between CV and WV, or the desired length from Centerville to Watermore Village, must be 350. We're going to write this in. And it satisfies both inequalities. We can check this by testing 310 plus 350. Which is going to give you exactly 660 in this case. And we also have 350 plus 150 clearly is greater than 200. 200 plus 150 is, of course, exactly 350. So it turns out in this case that the length satisfying the third side of this triangle turns out to be exactly the sum of the other two sides. So this is the case where we have the equals in the triangle inequality is what we need to use here. So this was a geometry problem involving the triangle inequality and lengths between towns, and we leveraged that inequality in many ways to find the answer to the problem.